From Los Angeles and Nashville, get ready to go behind the scenes with Entertainment Dudes. What happens when you pair a director, a voice actor in a world, and some of the most interesting people in entertainment? You're about to find out.
Now, granted, we do work with some of the same things. We use Edison plugs in houses. We use similar wiring. We're familiar with all of these things about power in the home. However, batteries, these things for art department, these are not necessarily the things that fall into the set electrician's fold, because I mean, I was asked to do, it's not often I say no, but I was asked to hook up this neon light. I'm like, hey, if I plug that thing in, it fucking blows up. They had a custom made for this, and it had the name. I mean, it was actually a character in the movie.
Oh, okay.
And I blow this thing up. Fuck that. I don't want to be the cause of any problems. There should be somebody there specifically with that sign. They bothered to get it purposely made, right? So they should have purposely had someone that knew exactly how to hook it up. Now, luckily, we were very lucky, and the reluctant art department guy, who was not very nice to me about it when I informed him that I'm not doing that, and he came with the response, which I've heard before, oh, but you're a fucking electrician. Okay. I'm a set electrician, so I deal. So if you need me to put some raw panels into a fucking 6,000 volt wall on a stage, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I know how to do that. You'll fucking kill yourself, but I know how to do that. But your neon sign, I don't know your fucking neon sign. So you deal with the neon sign because you're the one that handled it in your department, and you didn't bother to bring in a specialist like I do. If I need DMX, if I need, there's so many different things. If I need techno crane, if I need stunt rigging instead of regular rigging, I have all the people I put in for that. So if I'm in the art department and I've got a neon sign coming, I better have the guy that knows the neon sign. And I better not be asking the set electrician who's doing 1,000 other things, rigging shit in houses that should never be there with speed season. I mean, the shit we have to do. And this guy's like, oh, can you hook up my neon sign? And then he gets mad when I tell him no.
Hey, how much? We know industries change real fast in terms of the introduction of LED lighting. How does that change a gaffer's job? Like, you think it makes it
big
easier?
Time.
Or yeah,
well, big time. I mean, on a very basic level, a lot of lighting I do is very formulaic. I've been doing it so many years, I just know what's going to work. And there's always opportunities to get creative, but it's not on most jobs. Most jobs you want to do, you know what works. So, I started at a time when we had like 3 different lights. We had HMIs, we had our Fresnels, our RE kit, and we had 4x4 banks, which was wonderful. I wasn't around before the 4x4 banks in lighting. Other guys remember when it was just the HMIs and the big Fresnels, or the small Fresnels. So the way it's made it a lot easier is, number one, the draw of the electricity. We no longer have to provide this massive amount of electricity everywhere we go to run our lights. We really can do a couple of roll around Hondas, and I can power a lot of wattage of lights. So
I haven't been on a shoot in a long time that had a huge Jenny, like a Toad Jenny.
No,
it didn't have. We've even had a lot of lights too, like a lot of lights. And
yeah, it's a hard sell nowadays. I mean, you're looking at a difference. What I used to have to do with a $4,000 a day generator and distro, I can now do with a $200 a day rental solution for power. So that does make a pretty big difference. However, again, that's just the lights that I'm mostly replacing the old Fresnels with. So wherever I would put a 650 or a 1K or even a 2K, but a 650 or a 1K, those were lights we used a lot. The little dados, wherever we would put those lights, that's where the LED is really replacing stuff.
I've seen a lot of interiors of cars that makes it a lot easier, because I've seen them lit with strips now, and they'll,
I've been a big fan of remote phosphor. That's just been amazing. So we've got the LED remote phosphor, where you've got the LEDs, and then you've got a whole phosphor sheet in front of it that lights up. So it's got the quality of incandescent, but it's LED. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, just because we have RGBWW or whatever the shit is now, it's awesome, whatever it is. I still put gels on shit because the camera doesn't see what the light has no idea what the camera sees, and the light's pretty dumb, to be honest with you. So ask for purple, and I dare you to find that on a sky panel that reads purple in the frame without a gel. So we still use some of those technologies, but there is, in my opinion, no replacing for the HMIs. The beautiful light that comes from the actual, the heat that's created. I mean, we go from carbon arc lights, which we use on Tommy Hilfiger, right? The carbon arcs, if you don't know how those work, it's a little bit of a story, but suffice it to say that it's creating light by creating a little baby sun.
Yeah.
And what's the best light in the world? A sun. It's the most beautiful freaking light you'll ever see. So all we've ever done is strive to do something of that quality. A carbon arc basically makes a little sun. That's why Tommy Hilfiger uses it. That's why I understand that Tom Cruise requests them specifically for his movies. I totally get it, because if you're a movie star, that's a movie star light. It makes you look like a movie star. So nobody's using those anymore. Terry Meadows, I think, has the last one. If you want, he's great for that. But HMIs really replaced those in a big way because they created this unbelievably beautiful daylight balance light through heat, right? As opposed to an LED, which doesn't actually have any of that. It produces heat, but it's not created by the heat. So, and I'm talking on a very basic level, not non-scientific level, right? I'm really just talking heat and power. So an HMI still, I'll bring a generator just to run my M18 out in the middle of the desert, and then I'll bring 2 more Honda 7000s for the rest of the shit production, and all the LEDs can run off the other one. I'll bring one just for my M18 or my M40, whatever.
You know, it's interesting. From Nashville's where I got my start too, and I remember a lot of the productions we had on for so many shoots. We used mirror board all the time. And when I came out to LA, I rarely ever see it. Most of the productions I've been on, I just don't even use it. I find that because I love mirror board. I love because you're redirecting the sunlight to use your highlights. I mean, like you said, what better lighting? And you don't have to. You get to reduce the amount of HMIs that you're using. So I just always
also, I don't care how strong your HMI is. That sun, if that's full daylight from that sun, it's hard getting over that. It's hard. I mean, maybe you're going to put an 18 or 20K out there or something like that. Maybe that'll compete, but I'm not trying to compete with the sun like that. So I don't even go into that size light. I don't find it necessary. Not for the work that I do. Certainly there's big movies and stuff that require that. For the stuff that I do, I do not. And we get cinematic quality lighting every time.
Yeah, I find the more I light stuff, the more simple I go with the light. It's almost like, we used to have like 5 lights and then 4. Now sometimes I just like 1. Like you get a good background, find something that's lit nicely, or 2. Like I like I might have a pop for the background and then something soft in the foreground, and you have your standard 3-point. And with the cameras now, they're so good at picking up those dynamic range and the differences in the light that I don't know. I just like it. It's really beautiful. That's a personal taste of mine, but I've known a number of DPs that are like, yeah, I just use these 2 lights. That's all we need. And then you light the background, obviously, to fit. But
well, that's interesting. You say that's a good segue. I just came off of The Skill House, which is directed by the writer of one of the Saw. I'm spacing out now. Jigsaw? Spiral. The writer of Spiral was our writer-director for this movie we just finished, come out next year, called The Skill House. And of all the things we did with lighting, namely making the lighting in the house an actual character in our frames, what I was able, Will Barrett was our DP, and Will and I worked together extensively in the last several years. And so Will and I had a conversation, and we decided that whenever there's like a walking in scene or a sort of a transition scene or anything like that, that he would allow me to do this thing that I asked him to do. What I did is I saw an opportunity when we first started shooting. You learn the house. The house was a character. So I saw this opportunity, and I told him on that shot, I said, I want to light only this back wall. And I want them to walk from the backlight, which is going to wrap them to a certain point, but then go totally into shadow as that wall comes up and comes up and comes up, and then they'll walk out of frame. So I really wanted to light the background. He said he really liked the idea. The executive producer really liked the idea. So kind of on the fly, we made that call. And then we just kept doing it throughout the whole movie.
Nice.
Where I'm making the background lighter than the foreground, which is the opposite, quote unquote, of what you're supposed to do, right? There's rules, but this was breaking them, and to me, it made it much more interesting.
Well, and it served the story, which is great. I think that's what I often told the film students. I said it's important to understand the established rules that have existed since the beginning of cinema, and then if you do break them, great, but it should be motivated by something in the story. And so, like you said, this fits it because the house is a character. It does play a part of it. And so, when you're doing that, who's the main character of the scene? The house. And how is the house impacting the character, and so and it's also leaving a part of the character in shadow. So it creates that duplicity inside of the character. Are they trustworthy or are they not, and depth.
And the thing that I'm always looking at creating depth, because any good DP, of course, will tell you that is that's the main thing we look for. We reference it in lighting, how we don't want our lighting to look flat. We reference it in lens choices, how we don't want our backgrounds to look like they're right flat against our actors. We reference it in so many different ways. Depth is a key word in DP and Gaffer conversation.
Especially in moving shots. I love to layer light and shadow. And, it's really an awesome effect.
What are your favorites down the hall, like in Conrad Hall, Conrad Hall, DP, what is it? What's with Tom Hanks and Jude Law, it's a gangster film. Road to Perdition.
Okay.
There's a shot down the hallway where they're doing that, and they actually ended up raising the roof some so that they could hang the lights, and it's that, down the hall, dark shadow, dark light. Yeah. You'll see that subways beautiful. All the time. It's just it's interesting. It's really cool.
We just finished the ninth season of The Bay, the series, which is a sort of a melodrama thing I've been doing for many years. And we haven't always had an opportunity to do great lighting. They move very quickly. They do like 20 pages a day or maybe more. It's a crazy schedule. So
20 pages a day?
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of time to light. And this last season, I was very fortunate to work again with Will Barrett, who I did Skill House with, we met on this show originally. And just recently, we were shooting at a hospital, and I was given the chance to do this lighting, this dramatic lighting. Our main character comes in. There's someone in a hospital bed. He picks up a baby. It's very dark and ominous. Yet the main actor, is this incredibly beautiful man, which is part of the whole thing. It's a soap opera. So his looks are very important in the whole look of the thing. And Will and I were able to set up these sort of pools of light, sort of thinking, okay, we saw the blocking. We're going to set up these little pools. Maybe he'll hit them, maybe he won't, but we're going to put him there just in case. And it was even on something as sort of simple as that, where they have very little expectation of lighting. They're perfectly happy to do it with no lighting at all and just see what they get. It's, they have very little quality standards for that because they're focused on other things. It's a different kind of show. It doesn't necessarily need that for them. But in this instance, we got a chance to do this. And when the main actor, broke through these pools, and then he ended up stopping and picking up the baby, and the way that he looked and where the camera, it was so amazing how it all fell together. And I remember looking over at Will, and I mean, I'm beaming. My heart is racing. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it worked that well. I was so proud. I was so excited to share my little BTS with the main actor who I've known for many years. And I'm just very excited at the beauty. So it's no matter what you're doing with the new technology, to bring it right back around to new technology, no matter what you're doing, what we used to have to use on that same show, I would have like 5 4-foot-4 banks in the false ceiling, all wired up to some plug, some fucking where. I mean, it was a fucking nightmare. And I went in there and made this lighting setup this year, and it's absolutely brilliant lighting for this little show that doesn't really even care about lighting. And it was just that's why I do it. And that's the job of the gaffer, is to bring that to everything with new technology. And by the way, Jason, to address your mirror board There's new technology, there's another one as well, but there's one that I buy from Data Light. They have this new bounce technology. They have a 4 foot by 4 foot mirror board, but it's made out of this space age material that is the most advanced material for bouncing light. These bounces for bouncing light have not been updated in 50 years. Now we have
forever.
We have Broca. We could talk about that sometime. I'm happy to talk about that. Broca technology.
Yeah.
If you're looking for quality it's unbelievable what this bounce technology and the mirror boards. I was on a shoot with this 4x4 and it is not a mirror. It is as light as a feather, except for the yoke that it's on, just like a mirror board.
Yep.
It's two different softnesses. It's a super hard and then a medium soft. So you can flip it around. You can get two different types.
Do they have the gold too that they do or no?
They do on the smaller ones, and I would imagine they do. I haven't been back to buy new stuff. He's always updating. And Jason, if he doesn't, Sean over at Dado, they'll make one.
Yeah.
So I almost started a fire with this mirror board in Malibu because the talent kept moving away from it, and it was hitting the brush across this dry pond. And we saw it start to smoke it, and it was maybe 50 yards away. No shit.
Wow,
man, that's incredible. What's that called again?
It's a light stream from Dado Light.
Light stream from Dado Light. That's amazing.
And Broca technology is also you can purchase that also through Dado Light. But if you look up Broca, BROKEH, Broca.com, we can talk about that next time, and I can tell you.
Maybe it might be good if we see for the next one of the next shows, we can get over there and they can get a demo on those things, how they work.
Sean would be. I will set that up, Sean. I'm sure would be more than happy. Sean, I'm sorry to automatically invite you. He's the best. He's the best. He's brought new technologies in bounce and diffusion technologies that have not been updated.
I'd love to see that. That'd be great. I'd go on location.
Their lights. I mean, I wish I could afford them, but Mr. Dado, the technology with their lighting and the lenses that they're using that are like cameras, this is groundbreaking stuff from Auroras at a 12x12 automatic softbox right off the bat to the Dado Light technology and everything in between. Our technology is so freaking cool right now. We can do so much, and the camera sees everything we do. I put a tiny little Godox light in a freaking corner in a horror movie to get a little red pop, and the camera's just like, oh, I see it. I love that, right? Our technology is freaking awesome. And mirror boards, I just did 3 days on the short film. 2.5 of those days were all exteriors. All we used was this light stream, a 700 Forza. No, sorry, it was a Nan light, 700 Nan light. Yeah, Nan light Forza, and 12-foot bounce. 6-foot bounce, 8-foot bounce, 8-foot diffusion, and mirror boards. How we do things in the field is not changing. It's getting better and better. My crews are getting better. We can, I can run a job like we just did with 4 people on my G&E crew.
Which you could never do. You couldn't do that before. There's no way.
Swinging on both sides. Everybody's at full fucking rate. I don't bring anybody on who's not getting paid well what they're worth. I'm very happy to say no to most of the jobs that come through, and I'm almost never off work. That's how much I say yes. But I'm happy to say no. People who are serious come into this knowing where they should roughly be at, and then they rely on people like their Gaffer to not only do the lighting setups, but to organize the equipment, to organize transportation, to organize logistics, to do pre-production with all of your sets and where everything is going. Because you land without, it used to be we would come with a 5-ton, you just tell us what you want in the morning and we just fucking make it happen. That's fine. I don't mind doing that, and I still do that. I'll bring a 5-ton, no problem, and we'll work that way. I love it. It's seat of your pants. Unfortunately, oftentimes it means that you're working with amateurs. But sometimes that can be fun if they give me the opportunity to run shit and be like, no, yes. And I'll do that so that we can get something super cool. Sometimes you would miss those opportunities if you don't take those little things. But for me, because I'm so boisterous, I move it in the direction I move it in, or I just don't do it. So technology has done this. It's reduced crews. It's given us more ability to do more stuff. It's given us a smaller footprint. It's given us a lower draw of electricity. It's reduced our budget for G&E by over half with generators. And so the short answer to the question I just answered in the long way for you, Jason, that's what technology in lighting right now is doing for us.
Yeah.
What are the two pieces of advice you would give to a person just starting out in the industry, and B, a person who's extremely experienced, and you've got a good piece of advice for them? And if I jump out, excuse me, I've got a session starting in like 10 minutes. So if I jump out during your answer, excuse me.
He had to bust. Dave had to bust too. So it'll work out great.
Yeah, those two questions, and that would be great.
Okay, so two pieces of advice. What was the other question? Two pieces of advice.
A piece of advice for somebody just starting out in the industry, and a piece of advice for an industry veteran.
So someone starting out, I always say this, that the bottom line of everything in every department, and this is coming from a producer standpoint, is communication.
Okay.
Communication is the absolute one essential that cannot be replaced. And I always say we're all replaceable, because we are. There's 100 of me doing what I'm doing out there. I'm sure of it. We're all replaceable, and that's fine. But so there's that.
Okay.
The besides communication, it's sort of a two-handed thing. It's being professional. But being professional, to me, the bottom line of being professional is having a good attitude. And that means being able to work well with others, having exceptional situational awareness around you while on set. That's not to say that I don't trip on my own shit. Sometimes I definitely do, but that should be happening very little. Everybody should be a pro, and everybody should have a great attitude, because I finally gotten to a point in my life, thank God, because the universe didn't have to do this to me, because I had some bad past, and we're in a job that we should really appreciate, that we work hard at, that we love. It speaks to our soul, even though it has to speak to our pockets with money, but it speaks to our soul, and we're very privileged to be able to do it. And if people who understand that have a great attitude, and they bring that to set, and it totally infects the whole set in the exact same way a negative person affects the whole set. And an inordinately amount of negativity, it can make a job unbearable, and I will fucking walk. I will walk if it's unbearable. And it's 9 out of 10 times it's because of somebody's bad attitude. Either they don't appreciate, or oftentimes they're poor planners, and they've made a shot list that they can't change their expectations on, because they're so fucking set in their ways. It has to be this. Oh, I can't cut this shot. People make it very difficult for themselves. So the good attitude goes from everything from the PA, which is the most important person on set. That PA, every time, I'm telling you, the PAs are the most important people on set. They do everything for every fucking department, every single time. This last 3 days I did on this short film, don't even know what I would have done without the PAs. But it's all about attitude. I can teach you how to rig. I can teach you how to open and close a C-stand. I can teach you how to mount a light. I can teach you all that stuff, but I can't teach you to be a nice, good person. And nice, good people, let's see, in the last year, I've pulled at least 2 PAs off of PA, and now I hire them on my crews, because you have that good attitude, that go get them. And it's, to me, it's so, Jason, I think we had talked about it before, but to me, it's sort of, it becomes obvious very quickly who the stars are. And I've also found that everybody on set can be a star when you put the right people together. Literally every person on set can be a star when it's done right.
That's right. So awesome. Well, man,
good attitude, professionalism for the veteran and for the newbie. Communication, and that. So there it is.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thanks for being on the show. Awesome having you, and look forward to having you on again, and maybe hooking up some of that light stuff. But we will catch you again. For those of you who are following us on social media, on Instagram, you can also catch us on Spotify, where you can listen to the podcast, and on iTunes. and
everywhere,
everywhere. So like and subscribe if you're watching on
podcast.
YouTube. And thanks for joining us on this episode of
Entertainment Dudes.
We'll Entertainment Dudes.
Entertainment Dudes.